Welcome back to the Danger Room. Here we are discussing sexism in comics. Is it really sexism, or is it just, a bunch of made-up feminism propaganda that comics are sexist?
Well, we should definitely point this out, that this is geared towards female characters, both villains and superheroes, as well as civilians in the comic books. And I just touched my mic, sorry guys. I am a person who is against it. I think that sexism is way too pushed to the limit in comic books. I mean, if you look at the costumes that these women have, these super women, you're flying in the air at 1,000,000 miles an hour and fighting crime, and you have tassels right here. They're not gonna stay on if you have gigantic knockers. It doesn't work like that. There's a thing called physics.
I don't quite think...
Boobs follow physics. It doesn't work.
I don't quite think that any superheroine has tassels there.
Excuse me.
I mean,
excuse me.
There is, I understand...
Can we talk about... Can we talk about a specific character?
I know who you're talking... I know who you're referencing.
Yeah.
In her defense, Emma Frost, I know we discussed this previously. Her costume at one point has consisted of just cups.
Tell us who Emma Frost is.
Explain
her a little bit.
Is an X-Men, part of the X-Men, second or third class, I believe. And her costume has consisted of white drapes and cups. Now, if that doesn't sound like something we all know exists today illegally.
Like red Solo cups, or?
Like Madonna.
Shut up, Nick. I'm explaining a point. Point that needs to be made, that where have we gone with the drawing of our female characters? And I don't know. I mean, I know sex sells, but to what extent should that take over the industry?
And I do understand where you're coming from, because there are, examples like Emma Frost and Starfire, which what is the proper vernacular for what she is? I don't really quite.
What she is in the comic book?
Yeah. What is
Huara.
Yes.
Cute
with a W.
At one point, she just offers sex. She's just like, "Will you have sex with me?" And he's like, "What?"
In the in the current Red Hood and the Outlaws, which consists of Green Arrow's protege, who is now a frequent member of alcohol, if you want to say, or associate with alcohol. And Alcoholic. I'm trying to phrase it.
Thing.
And Red Hood, who is Jason Todd, we discussed last episode. Starfire is part of that team of 3. And last time I thought 3's a crowd, but apparently not in their case. Because she
just went there. Holy cow.
She gets with both of them. That's different points in the comics. And, looking at the rest of the New 52 line, you have cover issues of Catwoman showing off.
Okay, but Catwoman is it was obvious from the outset.
We know who Catwoman is.
Catwoman was written. She was written to be a sex idol. It's not like she originally started out as something and transformed into a sex idol. She's always been that way.
Take Starfire. Let's go back to Starfire real quick. In the Teen Titans
cartoon.
Cartoon. What's the word? It's a cartoon. In the Teen Titans cartoon on Cartoon Network, Starfire, part of the Teen Titans, is a teenage girl. We probably ballpark her around 16, 17 years old. And she barely has any midriff showing. It's like a foot of midriff and just leg with long boots and a fairly long skirt. And she's very, very naive and very just virtuous and nice and just so happy.
Her personality is the girl next door.
She's very girl next door. And if you go back to the comics, we go back to what Ricky described. We go back to a girl who literally is wearing what looks like a vest that comes out and barely fits her and then is super glued right in this area.
It seems like now you're agreeing with Ricky that it does get a little ridiculous.
It does get ridiculous. There's no way that this could happen. I just think that it gets to a point when in a comic you're why can't you just be good at kicking butt? Why do you have to let it all hang out when you do it? But I mean, I think the impressive thing is that they can continue to keep their clothes on when they're kicking that much butt. I missed comics comic book heroes like Supergirl. She till this day, she's really not drawn that bad. Her clothes are a little tighter.
Short skirt.
As opposed to Power Girl, where she's just got she's got fine everywhere, and then on her chest it's just like a cutout right here. So it's like, oh hey, I've got boobs. They're right here.
It's like everybody needs to like remind you what the sex of the superhero is, because if we put, of course, Batman next to Power Girl, like we're just not gonna know which one's a dude.
But it seems, but
forget that. I mean, it's not the fact that every
in
woman the comic book world is born with triple H's, for that matter of fact. But we have to figure it out.
Have you ever seen an out of shape male superhero? They all have six packs and pecs and arms like tree trunks.
And women everywhere appreciate that.
Yeah.
But we'll further discuss more in the future when we come back here on Between the Panels.